Alright, so we had the triangle on the table. We measured it from the table up to the corner. So the definition of altitude is a segment that goes from the side of the triangle or a line containing the side of that triangle. So what we had as the floor, up, that segment has to be perpendicular to the opposite vertex. So that was our ruler up to the corner, and that corner that's sort of at the ceiling. So in order to show you what it looks like on paper, if we have an acute triangle, this is not constructing it, this is just showing you what it looks like. If we have an acute triangle, what you could do is turn your paper so that your triangle sort of rests on a ruler as the floor, and then you can take an index card, because an index card has a right angle on it, and you can slide it across the floor until you almost cover up that vertex, and then you could dash in your altitude. So I would say here's my altitude. It's got to make a perpendicular, you got to put a perpendicular marking because the altitude has to be a right angle. So if I wanted to do another one, I could turn my paper here. And again, I'm going to say, okay, this bottom edge is the floor. And if it's still a little bit confusing as to what the altitude would look like, you could use another ruler and say, well, here's my ceiling. And so the ceiling, this ruler is parallel to this ruler, or basically parallel to that ruler, just by guessing if you're having trouble figuring out where the altitude would be. And then you still can use like an index card or a piece of paper, something that has a 90-degree angle, and you would slide it across the ruler until it gets to that corner, and then you can draw in your altitude again. Okay, so this is just a general sketch of an altitude. That's not how you would construct it. Where these altitudes meet, I could always do the third one, but where these two altitudes meet, the third one should also meet here. That's called the orthocenter. So if you think about going to the orthodontist straightens up your teeth, and the altitude goes straight up. So it's got to be straight up perpendicular from one side of the triangle. So the orthocenter is where all of the altitudes meet. Now in an obtuse triangle, it's a little bit trickier. So if I have this obtuse triangle here, and I again act like my ruler is the floor has to be extended. I can see that already in order to touch it. This is the one we had before. This is my other ceiling. I can see that I'm going to have to draw right down here. So if I let my index card ride over, I can draw in my altitude. And if I move this bottom ruler, you can see there's nothing there. So the definition of a line, it goes on forever in both directions. And a segment is a side of the triangle. So what I need to do is extend that side. That's why the definition of altitude says it's a side or a line containing the side. So if I just extend the side to make my line, this shows me where the altitude is. And here is my original triangle. This is my altitude. And this is just a line containing the side.